Hi guys, welcome to the Kadira show. And today it's very exciting day because we got a lot of projects to release, and I think we have a pretty good crowd here. And okay, so let's start by releasing a couple of projects, and then we can move back to Q&A sessions. I think we got more than 20 questions, and after that we can go for show you the server-side rendering stuff, and we have a pretty live running application, and we got pretty very very good news. Like we fix some of the biggest problems in media. So let's start by doing the releases, right? So let me share my screen. Okay, right, this one. Okay, right, right. First, I think we need to release FlowRouter 2.0. So basically, we start FlowRouter with I think maybe 6 months back, six months back. So it's just a hobby project at Kadira. So after that, actually, everybody helped us to bring into a state like this, and now we have 2.0. It's I'm pretty excited. So the way we have developed the flow route is very incremental development way, so you don't need to wait until at the end to get the flow router 2.0. So everyone is using flow router 2.0 right now, and so we have simply changed some of the APIs, and we actually removed. So that's the only change for you. Right. So let's see the other changes. So there's a migration guide at the end, so you can use that. So basically, we changed the name. Earlier it was Meaty Flow Router. Now it's Kadira Flow Router. So actually, we are moving everything into the Kadira name. So that's why we changed this one. So now we have a flow layout. Now we got it's now renamed into Blaze layout. So that's another change. So basically, these things are two namespace changes. And there's a issue with related to the helper package, and then there's the Blaze helper package. So there was an issue, like because the name was different, and there is two versions running, FlowRouter Kadira version and the MeteHax version. I think we can fix that. I think it's already fixed. So let's see. And then we have deprecated some of the APIs. I think you don't need to worry about this thing at all, because now we don't have middleware support, because we have triggers right now, and there is no API called reactive current. So we replace that with watch current, watch path change. And earlier there was something like that. You can access the query params by going through flowrouter.current.params.query. But I think we did it for something compatibility with iron router, but actually something weird. So we remove that in 2.0. So now we have query params. You can get the query params directly. We don't have something like this 2.0. So those are the only changes with 2.0. So you don't need to change anything in your app to use 2.0. So that's the 2.0 release. I think that's not much big, but there are a lot of things in 3.0, and you can get the 3.0 alpha today. Okay, let's go back to the next one. I think I have to release five projects today, and the next thing is FlowRouter guide. Actually, I renamed that into the media routing guide, because there's very little about FlowRouter, because FlowRouter is doing very little amount of stuff, and that's the thing. And I think I can go directly to the FlowRouter guide or media routing guide and show you what other things going there. So it's available on the Kadira Academy. So you can go to the Academy page, and there's a link. You can go to the routing, and you can see we start with the FlowRouter, and we talk about how to use Blaze with the FlowRouter. And if you're using React, you can use that one as well. And we actually trying to focus to trying to everyone to do like subscriptions, sorry, template level subscriptions. So that's, I think that's the way to go. So we show you a couple of ways you can do that one, how to load stuff with Blaze. And we also have something with React. And if you're using the subs manager, on how to do that. So all everything is there. And those two are two things like URL generator and access states. That's fine. And so this is one of the most important thing, how we can actually do the like authentication kind of stuff, permission kind of stuff. So we actually with FlowRouter, you need to bring those things into the to the template or the component layer, because we don't have anything in the uh, on the router layer, because we don't have data on the router layer, so it's not reactive. So you need to bring those things into the template component layer. So there are some examples on how to do things like authentication checks, like permissions and some of the redirect kind of stuff is there. And then so we talk about triggers and how to use Google Analytics kind of stuff, and how we can like how to save the page positions and kind of thing using triggers. So it's all there. So you can go and check it out. So, and we have mentioned about server-side routing. So actually we're not going to have server-side routing in 3.0 as well. So you need to use some of the other packages. Right, that's the second project to release. I think you will love this. And please tell me your suggestions on the routing guides. So we have another guide for the React as well. So we're working on that. And I think with the feedback, I think we can improve and how to do this and like that. All right. Okay. So let's go to the server-side rendering version. So we have already there's an alpha version of MediaHex SSR. So it's a 3.0. So you can think like it's a 3.0, but in an alpha kind of thing. And it's you can get it with Media at Kadira FlowRouter SSR. If you're using this one, you need to remove the MediaHex FlowRouter and Kadira FlowRouter using this one. And all the APIs are similar to the FlowRouter 2.0, but we have implemented those things in the server side as well. So there's a guide on how to use this the application. So currently this is only for React. Actually, the problem is not with the FlowRouter. Actually, Blaze templates, we can't get the Blaze templates on the server side. So that was the reason why we can't do it for the Blaze, because we already have Blaze server side rendering stuff. And so I think we can do something. And when there's a time to FlowRouter 3.0 stable version, I think we will have Blaze server side rendering as well. Now I'll talk about some of the things after a couple of minutes. Like so, this is server-side rendering release, right? Then if there's a new project called Dockhead, so this is very important when you're doing server-side rendering. So you need to work with titles. You need to set titles, and you need to add meta tags kind of things. And then you can use like this Dockhead project. So this project works on both client and server alike, and it's like for the client side it's using the normal DOM. On the server side it uses FlowRouter SSR. If you're using FlowRouter SSR, you can actually set meta tags and titles right away. It's very simple. And we have little functionality to load script as well. So if you're using React, there is no way you can put a script tab inside that. So maybe even with Blaze. So then so there's a little helper. You can simply load the script and use as you like. So this is the fourth project, and let's come back to the last project to release is Reactor. So Reactor, so this is a kind of answer to the as a partial kind of answer to the React router. So a lot of people are actually using React router. It's very good, I think. But so if you're using React router, you can't have the server-side rendering kind of stuff right now. But we can think of it later on. But so in the meantime, if you like to use the React router kind of like syntax, and if you want to get the FlowRouter benefits, and then this is the project for you. You can define like routes like this way. It's very similar to the React router. And that's it. And these are the releases. I think we released like for 2.0 and the media routing guide and the SSR version and the Dockhead project to manage the all the the meta tags and titles. And then we have the reactor, like it's a new way of defining routes. Okay, these are the projects, and I really encourage everyone to like hack FlowRouter and do anything you like and submit your PR or submit your own project. So that's the way to go. So this React is kind of something very interesting because we build like another layer of routing UI. So for the FlowRouter, so like that, if you like in a different way to use FlowRouter, so I think it's a better best way to do something like this, right? So the projects, I think releases are over. So let's back to the questions. Okay, right. Let me get the question list. So this is the very hardest question to answer. So let's answer the questions. Right, this is a question I think asking like how we compare iron router and flow router, and why use iron router or flow router. So how to decide this one? Actually, we all use iron router at the beginning, and actually we use up to 2015, early 2015, and I think it's a really good project and it helps a lot of like help us. So but the problem with iron router is take a lot of things on the router. And the router is not like it's a simple thing. It got a lot of subscriptions and data reactivity and everything, authentication and everything is inside the router. Sometimes it's good, but if a project is going to be pretty much like big, large, it's very hard to like how to manage, and that's why we decided to do something different. Um, so what the flow router is a flow router is a different way of thinking about routing. So it doesn't have any subscriptions like reactivity, anything inside the router. So everything what we do, it's out from the outside of the router. The router is a simple place that actually like getting things, hit some route, and then you can use it to that page, and within that page you can access the state of the router, and you can get parameters kind of thing. So that's how the flow router works. And of course, FlowRouter is kind of like we're trying to improve, and we're trying to fix a lot of issues with Meteor and trying to going forward. So with keeping the router, it's very small, so we can add features like server-side rendering. We can focus on doing server-side rendering, page load improvements. So we can go on like places like that. So that's why I think the FlowRouter is great, because so we're actually working to the future. So they have started like FlowRouter 3.0 as well, so now you can use it. So that's how we're trying to do, and everyone so that's the thing. So I think it's very different iron router and flow router. So I can't say like don't use iron router because it's different. I don't know. So that's my answer to this. All right. So then there's a question like how difficult is to migrate from iron router to flow router? I think that's depend on your application, then how you actually write your app, because there is no one-to-one mapping between iron router and flow router, because if we have something like that, I think there was no need to have something like flow router. So it's very difficult. So I think this is how to do that. Plus go through the flow router guide, so or the meteor routing guide, like see how we do things in flow router, and then decide how much of effort you need to translate between your current version and your next version. So then you decide how much time it take. Like if it takes like around like 2 days or maybe even 1 week, I think it's fair enough to work on flow router. But if it takes around like a month or two, maybe more than, I think you should stay with like iron router, because if you're starting new project, go with flow router. But if you're using old project, like you don't have time to work on that, so moving something, so don't do that. So that's my answer to this. Right. So there's another one. Like I think he's asking about template level subscription using flow layout. I think we have covered, like, okay, I need to start the answer. So actually he's asking about how to do subscription, template level subscription, and how to use it, flow layout, and flow router. I think we have like we have mentioned all these things in the media routing guide. I think you can use that one as a reference, and it has all the answers. All right. So the next question is how to do incremental loading. So actually, your question is to load the FlowRouter, load your pages very quickly. I think we have an answer like pretty soon. I mean, in this webinar, we can have an answer. I can show you how fast we can load stuff, and we don't need to do like template kind of level loading. So we don't need to load a couple of templates kind of thing, but we can actually the fast we can load the pages very quickly. I'll show you. Like you don't, yeah, we have an answer for this. All right. The next thing is, yeah, it's about a React router. So are you going to use like React router, or why we need to use like something like FlowRouter? Right. Okay. The thing is like the React router is actually built for the client side. So it can run on the server side, but when you're doing in the server side, it's different. Like in the server side rendering, we need to work on a lot of things, not just the React part. And we think like FlowRouter API is pretty good because we can have a lot of way to access the URL, change stuff. I haven't used React Router much, but they might have different features. So I think on the client side, you don't get much benefit between the FlowRouter versus React Router. They're doing the same things in a different way. But like on the server side, the FlowRouter has a lot of advantage because we can actually use all the tools in Meteor, like a fast render, maybe build tools and kind of thing. So we can engineer and build like a complete solution with FlowRouter. If you're doing with React Router, then you need to build something like that for the React Router as well. So I think spending time on two projects, like it's not gonna worth like because so that's the thing. So that's why we decided to go with FlowRouter. At the end, like maybe we can, so maybe we can isolate the server-side rendering part from FlowRouter, and then we can use it React Router. But I think it's not time to work on this kind of thing right now. Right now, I think I'm gonna working with FlowRouter. So that's it. Right. Okay. The next question is like how to do authentication and access, how to use like a redirects kind of thing. I think like I think it's the answer is available on the media routing guide. So my direct answer is try to use everything on the template level, because you don't have anything on the route layer, you don't have data on the route layer. So the best way to do is everything is bring everything onto the template layer, and that's the way we can do this. Yeah. Okay, I think we got a lot of questions. Right. Okay, there's another one called like is there will be any way to do like 404 kind of response like server-side routing? Like I think 404 and 302 redirects kind of thing. I think right now we don't have something like that in FlowRouter. In FlowRouter 3.0, actually we are trying to add these kind of features on the server side. So we need to do all this stuff. Like that's the right. That's it. Okay, that's like on the chat. There's seem like a video, audio is fine. Video is definitely show. Yeah, yeah, it should be. Right. Okay. Right. There's question like yeah. The question is like we have the lot of projects actually depending on the iron router, and because that was the only router back then, and yeah, that's it. So now is I think things will be changed. The like user account actually moved to the FlowRouter. There's a branch on FlowRouter. Yesterday I saw a project like on the atmosphere like there's a Houston admin or something like that. They are migrated. Another person actually has migrated into the FlowRouter kind of version. I think things will come. So I think we need to wait a couple of time, and maybe if you really need some project, maybe you can start migrating. And if you need my help, just create an issue on the project, and I think we can discuss and we can do something with that. Yeah, that's it. Like there's a question like can Plorout handle stateful URLs? I think he's talking about hash parameters. Actually, I tried a couple of times back how to use a hash with FlowRouter, but there was some issue. But then I defer working on that. Maybe there's pretty much demand on using hash. Maybe we can work on that. Right now, I think we don't have something like this right now. Okay. Sorry. There's a question about like languages. I think we don't have like built-in support for building languages kind of stuff right into the flow router. Maybe you can build a package. Someone can. So I think the separate package is the best way to do, like kind of add like multilingual like kind of stuff. Yeah. Like there's a question of how to structure like template folders using flow router. And I think there's nothing with the flow router and router. There's no difference. Like in the flow router, the flow router 2.0 version, you can write everything in the client side and it will work. And the organizing the files, and there is no structure to the like recommended structures, because in media there is no recommended way of doing things. Like there are a lot of ways to do. I think media is working with ES6 modules kind of thing, and with that I think we can see some pattern. We can find out patterns, but right now I think stick with that you have already. Yeah, this thing. And there's yeah, okay, there's a question about on the chat about hash. Yeah, IE support and the hash. Actually, they're using inside the flow router using a project called page.js, and there's like they said they're supporting like IE9, IE8 actually, but actually it's only limited to README. But then you try to work with IE, actually there was some issues. So actually we send them a PR to fix by fixing that issue. But right now he didn't get accepted. Maybe they don't need to support for IE9. So I think we can do something for the 3.0, but I'm still thinking like whether we are going to support IE9 or not. Maybe like I think we should maybe. Right, there's a question about is Speaker is going to be merged into FlowRouter 3.0. That's a different question. Like the flow router, like so in flow router 3.0, we haven't like decided to include server-side routing. I think we won't. The picker will be there, and maybe some other router, server-side router you can use. But for the like 404 and 302 kind of stuff, like we will have support in the flow router itself. But you don't have a way to like create like REST APIs using FlowRouter, because that's not what we do. Like FlowRouter is a client-side router, so it's optimized for this kind of stuff. Yeah, but we will respect other routers, and we will be able to use like other routers as well. I think we will have to work on that. But right now, FlowRouter is working on the purely on client side. You can use anything you want. Okay, this is related to the server-side rendering. And is it possible to use something like semantic UI? Because so I haven't used semantic UI. They said the semantic UI is rely on jQuery, and I think if they're using jQuery and then when you're using it server-side, you will have some issues. But I don't know like if the semantic UI the React implementation, they use something like Cheer.io kind of thing on the server, and then it will work. But I can't actually directly say it's working or not, but it need to see how it works on the like with the React. So if there's a React semantic UI package, maybe they have implemented like server-side support as well. So if that, I think we can use it. Right, there's 30 more questions to ask. Like, can Flow Router be used alongside Iron Router? I think you can't, because FlowRouter is not, and Route is trying to use the same resources like links, clicks kind of thing. I think you need to remove either FlowRouter or either router. That's the thing. Right. I think it's question about IE9. Actually, I actually talk about that one. The actually the problem is not with us. It's with the page.js package, and the routing package we are using behind the scene at the Pro router, and we have submitted a PR, but still on in the pending stage. I think we can see. I think yeah, I think we will add support for IE9 soon. So we don't need to wait for 3.0. Okay, he's asking about what are the biggest improvements to 1.2 to 1.2 2.0. Actually, there are a lot of changes from the 1.0 to 2.0, but like actually we did everything in an incremental way. So there is no much difference between 1. Like 18, the last version I think 1.18, 1.18 to 2.0. Like, but there are a lot of difference from 1.0 to 2.0. I think if you're right now using a flow router, I think you don't need to worry about it. Right, there are some other questions. I think I will answer that question, these questions after this, the next version. Right, let me get some like 5-minute break and take some water, and then let's back to the server-side rendering stuff. Okay, guys, I'm back. So let's talk about the server-side rendering. I think this is pretty exciting. And actually, I accepted a new PR to the SSR version today, and that was really crazy. Actually, I enabled that one today to the one of our production site, and it will actually doing pretty good. Like I'll show you. It's very interesting. Okay, so let's come back to the presentations, like the FlowRouter SSR. Right. So actually, I try to search like for the FlowRouter and React SSR or SSR React to this find some image, and then I got to some, like some of the family of faces on the Google search image. So I think we are doing pretty good job on the React ecosystem as well. Maybe, who knows? Like, okay, right. So back to the talk. But actually, when people talk about React SSR, so they think like, right. I think they're thinking like uh, SSR is it's React. Like server-side rendering, we think about like it's all React, but React is a very important part in the server-side rendering process. But like it's not the only piece. Like, but if you think about the like a normal website kind of thing, and then I think for the React is a pretty powerful tool because they don't have any subscription kind of thing, that they don't have mini Mongo kind of stuff. So everything is on the like they manage everything. Then React is you can use directly. But on a framework level, like something like platform like Meteor, like implementing SSR is not just using React. So we need to do a lot of stuff. So some of the stuff are so actually we need to work on routing, and then we need to build like a subscription only available on the client side. In the server side there is no something like subscriptions, and then when you're building something like subscription, we need to make a context around the server, and then we try to like collect subscription data and try to manage data on the server side. But at the same time we need to manage a lot of subscription context kind of thing, so we need to do it in a very concurrent way. So those things need to be handled on the server side very effectively, and then we need to fetch data, and then we need to maintain the login state. If you're using a login page, then you need to get the correct authentication information, and we need to generate meta tags, titles, and kind of thing in a like very isomorphic way. And we need to render HTML on the server. That's the part of the React or the Blaze or the rendering engine. And then we need to like send the HTML with the initial setup data to the client side. But the initial setup data really help the rendering engine to generate the client side version of the HTML and then merge the server side version and the client side version very effectively. In the React, use that one. If you don't have they actually do a checksum with the server side HTML and the client side HTML. So the checksum is different. So they actually throw some error. It's not an error, the warning, and there's some kind of flicker on the UI. So there are a lot of things like this. I have mentioned a couple of things, but there are a lot of things on the implementing server side rendering in the platform like Meteor. And actually, the best thing is you don't need to worry about most of things. Actually, FlowRouter SSR does like all these things inside the FlowRouter SSR, and it's going to work pretty well. I'll show you in a moment. And the only thing is you need to build your application in a normal way, and it will work. Right. And next thing is, before going back to the demo, the React rendering is extremely expensive on the server side. I can show you. So this is the like when you're doing a load test to the server with the server SSR enabled, you to look a CP profile. You can see like the React package. Actually, you can see like it's almost like the whole CPU in my application. So actually earlier we could hit like 200, like maybe 500 concurrent connections. It's not concurrent, using A/B testing, A/B Apache testing. So we can get like 200 to 300 pages per second. But if we had to add like server-side rendering, we could only get 20 pages per second. So that thing like it will like actually so eat CPU of your server, and then we need to find a solution for this. So that's what actually we build like the caching layer. So now we have a caching layer to the FlowRouter SSR, so which will actually don't use the lot of like server resources because of the caching. Right. Then you have to work on some of the things, because FlowRouter will use your server side subscription and kind of thing. It will manage most of things, but then you need to do all the things on the component layer on React. And then if you're using a client side or server side specific stuff, you need to guard them, and then you need to do that. And on the client and server, like if you're using like, let's say, so in the client and the server side at the same time, the subscription should be identical. If you are like, let's say you are doing some kind of random ID kind of thing, and then I think they're going to have a problem with server side rendering as well. Right. And if you want to do like client specific stuff on a React application, you can use component will mount lifecycle method, and it will only work on the client side. You can implement any client side logic here. So I'm going to show you a demo. Actually, we are using React and the server side version of FlowRouter since last week with Kadira.io website. So everything is running with server-side rendering, and the site is working pretty well. We can handle load, and there was no big issues, and I think that's pretty great. And I'll show you how server-side rendering works with Kadira.io website. Right now, so we can have the website, and everything is loading, so we can go to run there. So we have the data. We get the data dynamically. So now we have the blog kind of thing. Everything is now, if you go back to the like source code, right, you can see like, so now we get the actual HTML with the Mica page, and it's everything is working pretty great. So now I can show you the code for this one. Unfortunately, this is not like open source project. I can give you the code, but I can show you how it works. And we have the tags for the Twitter and then the Facebook. So we can dynamically generate this one using dockhead, and we got this like everything. We got fast render data, and everything is managed by FlowRouter. You don't need to worry about anything. Just use your component on the server side, and server side rendering will work. Right, I can show you some of the code actually. Right, this is the blog list kind of thing, and it's kind of not complicated. Like we have like there are a lot of things going on there. So let's inside the get here. I put the subscription. It's a subscription managed subscription. So we have the subscription on the component level, and we find actually using this one, and if we get the correct data, and we simply pass that to the template rendering process, and then actually it will work, because there is no any, like I want to show you, there is no like any guarding kind of thing. Like we don't filter things to the this portion will go to the server side, this portion go to the client side. There is no something like that, and ProRAD will detect it and it will actually do all the hard work for you. Right, okay. Right, of course. And we have all the kind of thing. So now we are using dockhead. Actually very easy. We add the Twitter kind of thing, and we have the image. We get the image, we get the URL. Like, so there are a couple of things going on there, but you get the idea. Like, it's very easy to do. Right, okay. And I think I need to do some kind of demo application on using server-side rendering, and I think we can do it in a couple of weeks. Right, okay. And I'm gonna show you I think the biggest and thing right now. So with the FlowRouter SSR, right, let's go before script loading. So I think I can show you pretty exciting things. So this is the Meteor app. So one of the problem with Meteor is we need to load like around maybe 500 KB to 2 MB kind of like initial JavaScript, and then we need to wait for that JavaScript in order to like render the HTML. Even we generated the HTML using server side. So actually the JavaScript is render blocking, and it will take some time to download, even with the so not in the high speed bandwidth, but even in mobile. I think this size is something very considerable amount. But we take like a page speed test. Maybe I think we can do it right now. So let's go back to the kind of thing. Okay, this one. Let's open the inspect, like open the like page speed checker, and then let's read out the page, and then let's analyze. So let's see the results. Right, I think there's no much issues. So there's one called default passing JavaScript, but actually, right, or maybe there were some issues, like or maybe it's not working right now. I'm sorry. So let's try again. Right, okay, it's something like caching kind of thing earlier. Right now you can see you don't see anything related to like JavaScript kind of different thing right now, because we are not render blocking. So this is very inline JavaScript we use for the fast render. That's why it's render blocking, but actually there is no anything blocking on the rendering. So if we go back to the source code, so I can show you how is this going to work. Right, let's go to the source code. You can see this is the render blocking kind of thing. This is for the data for the fast render. So I think we can move this back to the end of the end of the body as well. So if we go to the end of the page, so actually we are loading the script at the end. So we have the HTML on the top of the page, top of the body, and then the end of the body we have the JavaScript. So we don't need to wait for the JavaScript, and it will load pretty quickly. So I can show you. So now we are on this blog. So now we are reloading the page. I think there is no flicker kind of thing, so now it's not render blocking. I can simply reload the page, and you can see like, so it feel like it will render like automatically, and you don't need to wait anymore. If you go to the media.com site, right, and if you load it from like this, So it's we have a like something like that because it's JavaScript is render blocking. So we have this white space because JavaScript render blocking. We can fix that with for our SSR. And then so we got the page speed, and we can get a one for the native website. Okay, it's reloading. Okay, it's taking quite time. Like, let's see. Okay, so there are some usually images, and don't worry about that. So we have deferred passing JavaScript. So we have 700, I think, KB, maybe like 800 KB kind of JavaScript is used in this page, and it will render blocking. And we can fix that with FlowRouter SSR. So that's the huge feature. So we have in the FlowRouter SSR, right? And we can have something like meta tags. I think I have shown you. So it's very now easy to set meta tags, and it's available on Twitter kind of thing. And we have implemented a lot of things, but right now we have to implement it like I think we implemented on the feature wise like 80% kind of thing, and then we have the rest 20% implement on the server side rendering. So we have to still implement custom publication support, but right now we only support if you're returning cursors from the subscriptions on the publications, and we have no way to manage login state. So right now, so we are thinking about a way to like build a fast render only version. Actually, we don't need to have server side rendering for the like logged in users, and for that users most of the time fast render is enough. Then we are working on a fast render only version as well, and we need to do testing, and we need to have blade support, and we need to find bugs, and we need to build a kind of guide for the server side rendering as well. I think those are the things we need to work on the server side rendering. But right now, actually, even at this stage, it's pretty much really good because we have the running application. Our Kadira website is running on FlowRouter and React. This is our kind of thing, and it's working pretty well for us at this stage. Even at this stage, I think it will work good for you as well. And then we have the defer loading scripting, and now we don't need to worry about like waiting for the JavaScript and pages load very quickly, and you don't need to worry about anything. Like it will works pretty well, and then you don't need to worry about breaking your templates into a separate JavaScript and putting inside, because templates and everything will load at the end of the your page, and it's very efficient. And we can easily do meta tag kind of thing, so available on the Twitter and Facebook. And so that's it, and that's for the server side rendering. And I think this will be really important to the media ecosystem. Yeah, I think. And I think you everyone can help us. So actually this deeper server side is scripting is from a person like he's a Johan or kind of person. He sent us like that. Okay, this is for the server side rendering kind of thing. And then let's back to the questions. Let's see. Okay. Um, it's about something called picker, and we don't need to worry about that. Uh, right. There's a question about does subs manager implement fast render support? Okay, and then right, I'm not actually quite sure about this question. Maybe we can discuss this in offline. Right. Why React Router can't be used as SSR in Meteor? I think I already answered the questions. It's not like why we can't, like actually we can, and then we need to isolate a lot of class from the flow router. Right now we are not actually in a moment to move those things back from the flow router to the something isolated, because they're still experimenting. After we have done the all the stuff, I think later on we can actually move something like this. After yeah, I think we can isolate, and then someone can work on React Router doing SSR kind of thing they can use. All right, that's the thing. I think this is about subscriptions and how to use DDP. So they're using a different DDP connection. How to do that one? I think I think we cover this in the media routing guide. I think multi-layout with flow router. I'm quite not sure about the question. If you need to switch layouts, I think with the flow, the place layout right now we are using is very flexible. You can switch between layouts very easily, and I think it will work with the flow router very easily. Right, there's a question like why did it added like coffee script kind of thing in the flow router. But the thing is like the gears in browserify package, and that was written in coffee script. That was the reason actually the for the the user coffee script package. And there's a question on the chat. Uh, does that mean that Kadira frontend uses React component rather than Blaze template? Yes, actually yes. Kadira on the front end actually we implemented it using React. Earlier, it was a static web application, and then in order to learn React and learn SSR, actually we implemented that again with React. Yeah, that's the story. Right, there's a question about why didn't you on the chat ask why didn't you disable Blaze? I think we should we haven't think about that. I think we can remove Blaze. I think yeah, we haven't actually think about that. Why we need to stop? Yeah, I think yeah, we should remove Blaze. Thanks. All right, there are some questions. Yeah, it's about subscription ready state. I think so. You need to work on the template. I think it's related to like issue on the Hello React Meteor. I think we can have a chat with the on the issue list for this. Right, there's a dry way to there's a question of way to like generalize like layout function into the layout into the separate. Yeah, so he's talking about to like they're defining some kind of like common layout kind of thing. Actually we're not planning to change the Blaze layout API, so I suggest you to build your own wrapper around Blaze layout and then use it. Yeah, that's the easiest way to do this. Right. Yeah, we have to talk about something with. So he's asking about like, is there a good way to implement a Flux with React and SSR? Uh, I think there's a question and there's a discussion on the I don't know the place. There's still happening around like how to use a Flux and doing SSR kind of thing. I'm really interested about how to do it, but I'm not quite sure how to put a router into the Flux architecture and how we can interact it with that. So if we can figure it out that, and I think we can do it. Right. There's a question about like what is the good pattern for using Docker with FlowRouter? Should Docker the session go in action? Hmm. Right. Docker. Okay. In Docker, so when you're using like let's say when you're using a Docker inside the so you need to use that inside the component level. So it should not be, you don't need to do it in on the triggers, so you can do it in on actions or on the component level. Yeah, that's the way to use Docker, because you need to aware of the subscription context, the page context. So doing it inside action is a good thing. I think you can do it in triggers as well. Right. Okay. Can you share the hackpad presentation from? Yeah, yeah. I think I can do it right now. So we can share the hackpad presentation kind of thing. Yeah, I can share it on the chat, or maybe put it on a show notes kind of thing on the here. And so if you come back to the Cloudcast, there will be tap on the next to the questions called show notes, and there you can get the kind of presentation I have shown you. That's it. And I think this is the end of the this crowdcast. And we released FlowRouter 2.0 and a couple of other packages, and the SSR versions. I think yeah, I think we can improve the FlowRouter and improve the other packages with right now. And I really need your help, and I need to thank everyone who helped me to like bring FlowRouter into this stage. And I really thank you, everyone who sent PRs, everyone who sent issues, and everyone who tried FlowRouter and send us issues, comments, and so on. Thank you very much.